Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video on the double broadsword. Before I start, I'll just give you a little background about me. I've been with the Cateran Society for about 5.5, 6 years now. I really wanted to do something different for my certification other than doing broadsword and targe. So I really wanted to try to develop a double weapon system based off of the traditional teachings that the masters show, and kind of expand on it and create something that would really be true to the broadsword system and the broadsword masters, but that they didn't necessarily include. I found that the stage gladiators use something called the case of falchions, which really is what piqued my interest. And also, some of the masters who wrote the actual manuals did later become stage gladiators as well. So it is experimental. It is something that the masters would have used in the stage gladiator fights. So it is something that's authentic and historical, but the system I'm going to show you is experimental. So first, what I wanted to show you guys was the basic guard positions. What you see here is a double outside guard in the narrow position. There is wide position, which I'll show afterwards, but this is the more traditional way of holding this. Miller shows this, and he has the dagger on the outside. I found switching between the dagger on the outside and the inside was best for me, because it opens up different ways you can attack with your right-handed sword. Sometimes when the dagger is in front, it can tie up your cuts at different angles. So having the actual broadsword on the outside of the defensive weapon, your left weapon, does help sometimes. But again, you can kind of experiment and see what works best for you, but they're both good. So in this next photo, you can see that I have a gap in the center line of my guard. This is good if you want to give an invitation to the head and set up a parry riposte, set up a counter. You're not going to want to stay like this all the time, but again, for an invitation, it's a good position to have. For the most part, you're going to want to have that little cross at the top, or maybe a little gap in between it, not something this large. So in this next photo, you can see that I'm in a wider stance. This is the double outside guard in the wide stance. This would be like what Paige uses when mentioning equilibrio. You step out into a wide stance when you're using traverses. The same kind of concepts would be applied to this, and just in double broadsword in general. That's why it's good to have a strong base using equilibrio with a single broadsword first, and then being able to apply it with the two weapons. So this is a position you can be moving around in, kind of walking back and forth, sideways. It's cool because you can use either sword to attack with good body mechanics, by shifting your hips or stepping slightly forward or stepping offline. It's just a nice position to be able to mix things up in. And it's very unorthodox. People don't usually fight someone fighting like this. So when you're able to take advantage of that fact, you can land some really cool cuts. In the later videos, or the later clips that I'm showing, I do switch between narrow and wide stance to give you a better idea of what it would look like. So what you can see here is basically the main other guard. You're going to be switching from your double outside guard to this guard. This guard is called the hanging cross, because you have one sword in kind of like the hanging position and the other one on your outside and the crit cross. Makes sense, right? So basically what's going to happen here is you're going to be able to defend your head and the outside, and you can switch your sword, your main sword, from left and right. If they cut under, you can slip the leg and get a nice counter cut in. Basically, McBain says you should have the sword on the outside of the dagger, or outside of the hanging sword. I prefer it on the inside because just the way I feel the cuts flow from it better. But he does say changing from this position to guarding your inside of your head will be very difficult if you do have the dagger on the outside or the broadsword on the outside. But again, you can use your discretion and use them situationally. I really like this position as a kind of overall total defensive position. You can obviously be very offensive with it as well, but I find when I'm moving around, it's it creates a very nice protective shell for you. You just feel very safe in it, and when you move the swords in unison, it just flows very nicely.
Over here.
So basically what I'm trying to show here is when you're in your narrow stance, which is your traditional regimental second position, you're getting cut to your outside. You're maintaining your guard with your left hand broadsword, while attacking and riposting in a normal traditional regimental way. So you're not crossing your left broadsword over. You're not tangling yourself up. You're just keeping it nice and simple. In this clip, I'm showing how you can parry with your offhand while doing a single time counter with your right-handed broadsword. That's the beauty of using double weapons in general. You can parry and you can attack at the same time. So this is just some variations of thrusts and cuts. What you'll notice is I'm able to do single time counters not only if they're attacking my leg, like in regimental broadsword, but if they're attacking the higher line at my face and arm. There are masters who speak about the single-timed counter with the single broadsword, but it's not the safest thing to do. And what this does is it enhances the traditional way of doing it and makes it a bit safer for you. An example of why it's safer for you is when you do a single-time counter with a single broadsword, it's a static parry and counter cut, and when you're using an offhand, it can be dynamic. It can still move while you are attacking. So this is a nice drill that you can do where your opponent or partner is attacking to your left side repeatedly, giving you time to flow between single time counters and counters on the shift or slip. So they just keep repeatedly attacking that side, basically doing doubling, and you can attack to any line or anywhere. It's just a nice flow that you can trade back and forth with. In this clip, I'm just showing you how you can use your traversing footwork and alternating cuts from left and right to flow and change lines and land a cut to the torso or head. So again, in this one, flowing back and forth. This time it's free play, so we're just kind of having fun, really slow, just flowing with each other. I think I was trying to set up a left-handed parry so I could get a single-time counter. In this one, I was kind of trying to time him stepping in so I could get a single-time counter with a head parry. This one's just kind of a traditional slip, and I used my offhand sword to parry. So that's it for part one, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to look at my video, and I hope it's useful for you in the future for sparring and just having some fun. Again, I really tried my hardest to apply all the years of broadsword to make it as authentic as possible, and like it came out of the pages of the Broadsword Masters books, as if they would have written it. I really tried to make it as close as possible to what I thought they would have made it if they did include it in their books. You can take a look at my Instagram and Facebook pages. I try to be as active as possible, but with everything going on, I've been a bit, I guess, lacking in that area with content, but I've been putting up a little bit of memes and some fun stuff. So it's Instagram.com/HighlandHema and Facebook.com/HighlandHema. And my group is Highland Sword Fighting Guild. Hopefully I'll see you around for part two, or I'm going to include some really cool stuff, some nice tactics, and strategies to use with the double broadsword. Again, more footwork, and just to make a more well-rounded approach for you to look at when you're trying to use this system. Again, thank you very much for looking, and I'll hopefully see you guys again soon with part two.